This is the second tutorial that you're going to complete. It's based on a tutorial off the internet of creating a soap dish. So as always, to start off, you select a working directory. I'm going to create a new folder called soap dish. And then I'm going to hit OK, so you can see Creo soap dish. And now I can start. So I go new, part, soap underscore, you can't have spaces, so dish, enter, and you come up with your working area. So I'm going to start this time around. Instead of hitting extrude like most of you guys have done, I'm going to hit sketch, but I'm going to select which plane I want to work on. So I want to work on this top plane and just click sketch. And it just comes up with my reference lines. I'm just going to turn all my displays off, my plane displays and that, so I have a clear area of what I want to work with. Actually, I'm going to turn them all off. So there's all on, all off. Okay, and I'm just going to create a basic rectangle. And I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm working with. Now, once I right or center mouse click, I get into kind of the completed version. Now, if I click once more with the left mouse button, you can see the red up here. And I can actually drag and customize the size of this. So I'm just going to make it smaller right now. Zoom in. And that's close enough for now. So I'm just going to hit OK. Now, this time around, I just sketched it. I didn't extrude it. So because of that, I have to hit extrude afterwards. And then I can change the size up and down. So hit extrude, kind of a different way of doing it, but you get the same result. So I'm just going to default orientate it. Now, I want to actually make this the right size. So once I'm here, I could over here right mouse click, edit definition, and I can change it up and down. Okay. And then I can just hit OK. I could also just double click and I can get to all my different dimensions. Now I can change it here and just say, okay, well I really want it 10, enter, and then here I want it 5, and here I want it 2. Okay. And then I can just double click out here a couple times and it regenerates. Now the other option is I can double click, and if you see here, there's a little green corner, and you can see the arrow, and now I can actually just drag it the size I want it. So I'm going to get it pretty close to what I want, which is 5 by 3. Just double click a couple times out, and right there it is. Now again, I can modify this all later, and I will. So once I got my basic box, what I want to do is add a bit of draft to it. When you're creating things, and we're going to make a soap dish, you need a bit of an angle on it, so when it's put into a mold, it can fall out of the mold. So pancakes or a waffle maker has got the same thing. When you're in metalwork making or casting aluminum, you need a bit of a draft as well. So to create draft, what I do up here is I'm going to select my surface I want to have drafted. I select draft. Okay. Now what happens is that's the part that's going to hinge or bevel in or out. So under references, that's my surface. Now the draft hinge is what I got to select now. So that draft hinge, to select it, I actually want the bottom plane. So I'm going to turn the plane display on, and what I'm going to do is zoom in so you can actually see this. So here, that's my plane surface. So when I click on it, you can see it goes orange here. I'm going to zoom out a bit, and there's my draft. Okay, and now I can actually pivot it in and out or hinge it in and out. So I'm just going to set this up. I'll double click it. I'm going to set it to 5. Okay, now I want it to go all the way around. So under draft surfaces, if I click in here and now I click this surface, you get that one. If I go on the backs or the sides, I get that one. But I want them all. So I hold the control key down and select that surface, and again I'm holding the control key down as I left mouse click, and I've got all of them now. Now if I change this 5 to, let's say, 8, you can see they all change. And I'm just going to accept that now. Okay, so there's my drafted surfaces. Now again, I can go back at any time, right here, right mouse click, edit definition, and I can go and change that and say, well, I really only wanted it 4. Okay, and accept it. Okay, so again, right, it's just a matter of when you can do things, but you can always customize stuff. So I'm just going to turn the plane display off now so you can see stuff. Next is I'm going to round the corners. So if I come into here and I select, and then I select that edge, you can see it, but when I highlight it, you can actually see, okay, all the other corners get highlighted in green. It might be hard to see, and if I double click it, it highlights all 4 corners because the program assumes that you want all 4 corners done. I'm going to hit round, and then I can basically just round over everything. So I'm gonna, I don't know, let's keep it about there and accept it. Okay, then I want to round the top surface or the bottom of the dish. So again, highlight the top, click just that edge. Now if I click that, actually I don't even have to this time around, is I just click the one edge and it's going to assume to go all the way around. You can kind of see it. I hit round, and again I just take that and make it whatever. Okay, and I'm going to accept that. So a little hard to see maybe the roundness right now, so I'm just going to go up to shading with edges and you can see what I've done. Okay, so now that that's done, I just need to shell out the inside. So shelling out the inside is just a matter of taking the top surface and clicking shell. Sorry, let me get out of that. First I got to grab the right surface. So grab that surface, okay, in green, so it's dark green. Now click shell. And now I shell it out. So there's my shelled out version. All the thicknesses are the same. So now I can take this, double click, and if I put 0.1, it goes a bit thicker. If I type in, I don't know, 0.4, you can see it's really thick. So I'm going to go back to 0.1, and that is complete. So click OK, and there's my basic soap dish so far. Now, at any time again, I can go and say, well, let's go back to my draft, right mouse click, edit definition. And I can say, well, I really wanted that draft. No, it doesn't look right, so I want it at 6. And hit accept. Automatically updates it all. Or my soap dish isn't the right size, so I right mouse click on extrude, edit definition. Maybe I want the height different, right? I can change that. Or I can always just go the whole thing. There's my thickness. I actually flip it upside down and grab my top surface here. Let me just get out of this. Right, my whole surface. Now I can go and say, well, really, my soap dish I wanted. Let me double. I really wanted it exactly 5 by 3, and by, I don't know, let's say 1.75 high. So there's my final version of my soap dish now. Okay, and even that, the height of that, I don't like that height. So let's go down a bit lower to, I don't know, 1. Okay, there's more of my soap dish. So I'm going to hit, just click out in the middle or out the side somewhere. There's my basic. So I'm going to start there or stop there. That is the first part of the soap dish.